I keep hearing the same sentence from men in their 60s, and it makes everyone around them uncomfortable. I'd rather die alone than date again. Their families don't understand it. Their friends think something is wrong with them. But here's what nobody wants to admit. These aren't broken men, and these aren't men who failed. These are men who succeeded. Men who've been married, men who've built something, men who understand exactly what relationships actually require. And after going through all of it, they did something most people never do. They calculated. When they looked at what it actually cost them versus what they truly got in return, the answer became impossible to ignore. It wasn't worth it. Think back to when you wanted a relationship, not casually and not optionally, you needed it. Back in your 20s, maybe your early 30s, it felt like the entire point of life. You saw couples and felt that pull, that quiet pressure in your chest. You wanted someone to come home to, someone who chose you, someone to build something with. The idea was simple: a partner who supports you, respects you, and makes your life better. A relationship that feels like teamwork. So you pursued it, you put yourself out there, you took risks, you dealt with rejection because you believed it was worth it. And maybe you found her, maybe you built something real. 10 years, 20 years, maybe even 30. You gave everything you had. You provided, you protected, you showed up every single day, even when you didn't feel like it. You handled responsibilities, you absorbed stress, you carried emotions that weren't even yours. You compromised your needs to keep things stable, because you believed that's what a man does. That's what partnership is. Give and take, sacrifice and reward, until something changed. Maybe it ended suddenly, maybe it faded slowly, maybe it was divorce, maybe loss, maybe just distance. But one day it was over, and you made it through. You survived it. And then something happened that you didn't expect. Something you don't talk about. Relief. Not the kind you admit out loud, not the kind you tell your kids, but real relief, like a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying finally lifted, and you could breathe again. And in that silence, you did something dangerous. You started thinking clearly. For the first time in years, you stopped reacting and started calculating. What did it actually cost you? Not just money, everything else. The hobbies you gave up, the friends you lost, the dreams you delayed, the peace you traded away just to keep things stable. You added it all up, and then you looked at what you got in return. Companionship sometimes, but at what cost? Your freedom, your autonomy, your ability to live on your own terms. And then you asked the question most men are afraid to ask. Would I do it again? And the answer came fast. Not emotional, not dramatic, just clear. No. Then you went one step further. You imagined starting over, meeting someone new, going through the same cycle again. Attraction, adjustment, compromise. You imagined the slow shift again, the expectations, the needs, the moods. You imagined managing all of it again. You imagined your space, the peace you finally built, being disrupted, questions, expectations, obligations. You imagined giving up control of your own life, piece by piece, all again. And that's when it hit you. This was never about finding the right person. This was about the cost of the system itself. Because even a good relationship requires sacrifice, requires adjustment, requires you to carry something that isn't yours. And you've already done that. Now look at what dating has become. You're not meeting people naturally anymore. You're on apps, reducing yourself to photos and a few lines, competing with dozens of other men for attention. You're not connecting, you're performing. You match with someone, but so did 50 other men. You're not having a conversation, you're auditioning, trying to stand out just enough not to be replaced. And if you make it to a date, you start seeing reality, expectations, requirements, unresolved baggage, and somehow you're expected to carry it. At your age, after everything you've already built, after everything you've already proven, you're supposed to start over and give everything again for something that already drained you once. And you ask yourself, why would I do this again? And you can't find a real answer. Here's what nobody tells you. When you were younger, you weren't thinking clearly. Your biology made decisions for you. It pushed you to chase, to ignore red flags, to tolerate things you shouldn't tolerate because you felt like you needed it. But now that pressure is gone, and for the first time in your life, you can see things as they are, not as you wish they were. And what you see is simple. You don't want a relationship. You want the idea you had when you were younger. But the reality is, you've already lived it. And after everything ended, you built something new, something most people don't understand. Peace. Real peace. You wake up, and the day is yours. No tension, no emotional guessing, no need to adjust yourself before you even speak. Your time belongs to you. Your space stays the way you left it. Your decisions don't require negotiation. You don't have to manage anyone else's internal world. You just exist. And for the first time, that's enough. Because the real cost was never obvious. It wasn't just money, it was energy, reading moods, anticipating reactions, preventing conflict, adjusting yourself constantly just to keep things stable. You became good at it, too good, and now that it's gone, you realize how exhausting it was, and you don't want to go back. Not for anyone, not even for someone better, because the structure itself is the problem. People don't understand this. They say, "Don't you want love? Don't you want someone?" But what they're really saying is, your choice makes us uncomfortable. Because if you're actually at peace alone, what does that say about them? About the compromises they're making? About the things they're tolerating? Your clarity forces them to question their own lives, and they don't want that. So they call you bitter. They say something is wrong. But they're wrong. You're not bitter. You're not broken. You're not afraid. You're clear. You've lived the fantasy. You've paid the price. And now you understand something most people never will. Peace is worth more than companionship, not because companionship has no value, but because the cost is too high, and you've already paid it once. You're not giving up on love, you're choosing something else. Freedom, autonomy, control over your own life, mornings that belong to you, evenings without tension, time without obligation, energy that stays yours. You're choosing to stop sacrificing what matters for something that no longer gives enough in return. And if you've reached this point, even if you haven't said it out loud yet, you already know. You're not alone, and you're not wrong. You've done your time, you've carried your share, you've given enough. Now you keep what's left for yourself. If you understand this, comment peace, because most men never get here.